Everybody hear me good? Morning. I guess you guys want me to stay right here? That's the hard part. Can I use this corner? It's glad to be here. I used to be a school teacher slash coach, and the 8 o'clock class was always the one that I dreaded because I don't know telling what you guys did last night, but it's easy to get up here whenever you're talking about something like a spinnerbait. I mean, it's hard to be passionate about something, but that's something that I'm very, very passionate about. I just want to kind of start real quick, tell you a little story. I can remember I grew up fishing with some of the best fishermen in this area. They fished with Jimmy a lot. I fished with Jimmy, but I can remember starting fishing a tournament with my uncle. My uncle's the kind of guy, does anybody here know my uncle, Charlie? I figured, okay. Stubborn, pig-headed, his way or no way. That's just how he is. And I remember going to Kerr one morning and he said, oh, we're going to run across the lake. It's freezing cold and bring a rod with 20-pound test on it. Nothing else. You can't have 18 or 22. You got to have 20. And I'll make you a spinnerbait up. We run across there. I mean, of course, I tie this spinnerbait up and we pull into this flat and he says, all right, whenever you get this bite, it's going to feel like a crappie. You know, the water temperature was below 50 probably. And I can just remember, I remember that bite and I'll never forget it. You know, he said, all right, cast it up there on the bank, slow roll that thing out there. When it gets out there 10, 12 foot and 3 foot of water, that's where they're going to be at. And I'll never forget that bite. It was just exactly like he talked about. Just a think most guys probably wouldn't even know it was a bite. And it was a 6-pounder. And that kind of started it off. But fishing with him over the years, as stubborn as he is and as good as he was spinnerbait fishing, he made it difficult for me because you had to do it his way. He made it difficult, but he taught me a lot. Can't tell you how many times we'd be in the boat and he'd catch a fish, catch one fish. And of course, we'd throw it in the live well and I'd walk back up there and you got to be throwing this spinnerbait. It's 1/2 ounce. It's got a red kicker. It's got a gold blade. It's got 32 strands in the skirt. And you got to reel it at this speed, and every now and then you got to stop it. That's just how he was. And it taught me a lot. He was real particular, and that's probably why I've gotten real particular. Before we talk about spinnerbait fishing, you have to understand the spinnerbait. Okay? There's so many things. It's by far the most versatile bait, I think. And the reason being is there's so many things that you can do to change it. What's the next slide? Okay, go back. Let's go back to this. First of all, right there's your basic blades. I think we're missing one up there, the Indiana blade, but I can get by with those two 95% of the time. You have a Colorado and you have a willow leaf. All right, two totally different blades. It's like having a hammer on one side and a drill in your other side. They're both very useful if you're a carpenter, but they're totally different. Okay? I'm going to kind of bounce around a little bit, but you know, last year I think it was that the Covert series came out, and I want to tell you why that came out. And I'm not sitting up here trying to sell it to you. There's a situation, there's so many situations out there for different spinnerbaits. And I get a call one day from the president of the company, and he says, you know, I'm tired of seeing you switch blades, customize your spinnerbait for each. We want to make something that you can sell. And I said, well, if you're going to make what I'm going to use out of the box, you're going to have to make a lot of spinnerbaits because I use a lot of them. Now, there's a couple, 3 or 4 that I use a lot, more than the rest of them, but I use them all. I think there's 70-something SKUs of the bait. And there's no doubt that throughout the season, I'll tie almost every one of those on at some point and use it, because every condition's different. And I may use 2 or 3 different spinnerbaits in the same day on the same lake based on the conditions that I'm fishing. All right? Let's talk about this before we kind of get into what we're looking for as conditions. Let me just get a spinnerbait out real quick. Of course, a guy that was super prepared would have one laid out. And I was at a basketball game late last night. I literally got in and pulled the boxes out of my boat that I carry for this time of year.
It's Mike Iaconelli. This is Bass U TV.
Here's what's awesome about Bass U TV.
You get the top instructors.
Real tools that help you catch more fish consistently.
And that's why you want to check out Bass U TV.
Join the Bass U family.
Welcome to Bass U TV.